Welcome. Today we're going to be actually working in the Utah parcel fabric, and I'm going to be covering some items on polygon attribution and the way to correct them. These may occur in any parcel fabric, and part of it's due to kind of a hangover from the GMM files, how they were attributed, which is what was used to populate the CAD NSDI, and these are probably existed in the CAD NSDI. Now, what I'm talking about in this particular instance, we can see on this screen we have pretty much blank polygons. There's just nothing there, or doesn't appear to be anything there. So why is it that way? Well, first, let's go ahead and open up our attribute window. And actually down here what I'm going to show is if I come in and kind of just select, try to see if I can select everything within that blank spot, now you see there aren't any empty polygons. There are actually polygons that exist. Actually, we have 5, 6, 7 polygons, which are all represented here. Now, if I click on one, you'll see it highlight over there on the screen where they're selected. So as I click through them, you can see which ones they are. Now, why are they blank? Because evidently they have an aliquot division, but they aren't showing up within a domain that is recognized within the schema of the parcel fabric. And this is why I say it's probably remnant, like here we're west half, northwest, northeast, 20 acres. And if we go down to quarter section type, which is actually the second division type also, you see it's called remainder. But if we go to our table of contents for second division, we do not have any selection that is remainder by itself. You have a remainder aliquot part and you have a remainder lot, but there is no remainder. And that's one thing about the attribution, is it needs to be exact, capitals and lowercase, as they are in a domain or the schema. So in this case, the reason it came in blank, it didn't know what to do with it, but it brought the polygons in and it had it as a type of remainder. Now if you only had one polygon that you were dealing with, you could just edit it here in your attribute window, and if you came over here to the type, if you click to the right of that row, you're going to end up with a pull down. And now the pull down showed up, and you see we have an aliquot part. We can't open our table of contents now, but I know that's in the second division. So we have aliquot part that we could select. So I could select aliquot part, say OK, and then you'll see over here, let me zoom in, you see it changed it to an aliquot part. So all these are aliquot parts that are less than 40, but they're still an aliquot division. So they aren't really a remainder of anything, they're still an aliquot division. It came up with the proper labeling. But as you can see, to go through and change each one of these one at a time might be a little time consuming. So let's go back to our view. So it looks like we slid over a little bit. Let me get us back with everything in the screen to where we were. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and close this attribute window. And now as we look around, I'm going to clear our selection here. And as we look around, we see multiple of these polygons that appear to be void. Once again, I am already in an edit session, and I can kind of do a selection in here, and I see that there's more than one. Actually, if I zoom in here, this one looks like they aren't truly aliquot from this view, but when we zoom in, we see the aliquot portions that are contained. So going in and changing these all one by one could become a little time consuming. And I had already reviewed this parcel fabric, and there's in excess of like 1470 plus polygons similar to this. So the easiest way to correct this is we're going to go to our table of contents. We're going to come down to second division. We're going to right click on second division. We're going to open our attribute table. Okay. Now there's nothing selected at this time. This is second divisions because I'd cleared the selection. But what we're going to do is we're going to select by attributes. This button right here. So when you click on select by attributes, you should get another window. Here it is. And we need to type how our selection is going to be. So we know we want to do second division, so we can just scroll down till we find second division type. Because in second division type is where that remainder is identified. So we double click on it, it comes down here. Now we can click on equals, and then we need to put in the point, type in remainder, and bracket it with the columns there. And once we have it bracketed like this and in this format, we want to get a selection of all second division types that have been identified or attributed as remainder. We say apply, and there we have all the attributes in second division type that came up as remainder. So what we need to do, we can see the total is 1472. I can tell you it used to be 1473, but we already corrected one. So we can scroll over till we get to second division type. Or quarter section type, and we can see that they're all remainders. Now I did not verify all 1400 plus of these that they were truly aliquots that were less than 40, but all of them that I spot checked were. So it kind of gives me the reason that okay, they probably all are, and they got identified that way in GMM for whatever reason as a remainder. So what we can do here to change these in bulk is we can highlight, click on the top bar here, which highlights the column, then you right click, and we're going to select the field calculator. So in the field calculator, we want second division type to equal. Now here, you'll put it in the quotations, and we want aliquot part. End with quotation. Now we notice that A is capitalized and P is capitalized. If you do that with a lowercase p, they'll still remain blank. it is critical that you maintain proper uppercase and lowercase in whatever that type is. Now, I know that happens to be aliquot part with uppercase A, uppercase P. So you can do it either VB script or Python. It really doesn't matter either way at this point in time. At other advanced edits, you may want to wish to use Python, but that'll be further down the road and beyond the scope of what we're going through on the lesson today. So we know what we want to make it. We click OK. And you'll notice all of them that were selected because I did selection by attributes, they all became selected. They all filled in as an aliquot part. So I can come up here, close this window as we don't need it anymore, and I'm just going to pull this down here for now, and we can see all of them that were on our screen before that appeared to be void and vacant, and the only reason B was doing the attribution, that we have corrected them all now and they are showing as aliquot parts. So we could clear our selection. I'm going to take my attribute table, and at this time you can either close it or you can park it. You can park it by just pinning it, is the more appropriate. I bring it over here. You saw how those arrows showed up. I've clicked on that arrow when I drag it over. Now I can click on the pin and it's going to pin it to this sidebar. You can pin it to any place you want in here. The bottom, top, sides. You would have seen those arrows. But we can see now that the bulk of these polygons, if not all of them, are correctly filled in now. And I'm going to zoom in, and we ought to be able to see that they are actually correctly attributed at this time. I'm going to select these down here. Now the only one that probably is not is the description for this, or what it would be considered second division number, isn't going to fit in that space. But if I zoom into there, now it's there, which is the north half of the northwest of the northeast of the southeast of the northeast. So we've fixed all our polygons, and all the polygons are probably correct within the parcel fabric now. At some later date you found something that was aliquot that should not be, that may have been attributed with remainder. When you come across it, you can fix it at that time, either utilizing, once you figure out whether what it was, maybe it was supposed to have been a lot, but somehow it got labeled as remainder. You notice none of these were actually in the lots and don't appear to be in locations where you would have lots. The only way to verify that is to pull the survey records and verify what the condition of those were. Down here, this might be an area I'd want to look at the survey, but if I kind of zoom in, I can kind of see I've got lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chances are none of these were intended to be lots, unless they were surveyed at a later date and they need to be 8, 9, 10, and 11. But for now, we've made a simple process of correcting all those void polygons with an attribution that appears to be correct and accurate for what we're doing. So with that, that pretty much ends this lesson on editing attribution, utilizing your either your attribution window or your table of contents, and how you can do a selection by attributes to get all of those at one time corrected with pretty much a couple clicks instead of a couple clicks per polygon. A couple clicks and you've corrected all those that were identified that way within the entire fabric. So this will conclude this lesson, and as we come across more types of polygons that require editing, I will be preparing videos on those and how to correct them, and probably the best workflow or method for whatever the attribution is incurring at the time. So until then, have a great day.